Welcome back to Headlines and Heartlines, a podcast where we talk with people shaping Liberty County, Texas, and the surrounding area. I'm Vanessa Brazier, owner and publisher of Bluebonnet News of Texas. Today, I am joined by Michelle Merendino, a Republican candidate for the 75th State District Court. The 75th State District Court handles some of the most serious criminal and civil cases in Liberty County's judicial system, and the person on this bench plays a critical role in ensuring justice is carried out fairly and according to the law. In this episode, we'll talk about Michelle's background, her approach to the courtroom, and what voters should understand about the role of a district court judge. Michelle, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for doing this, Vanessa. I always appreciate your willingness to give everybody a platform to get their message out.
Yes, of course. It's my job. So for listeners who may not know you yet, can you tell everyone a little bit about your background and what led you to seek the seat on the 75th State District Court?
Well, I have been an attorney for 23 years, and upon my appointment by Governor Abbott to the position left vacant when Judge Moorfield retired, I've just worked diligently to, understandably, there's been a backlog because, of course, we've had visiting judges to try to fill in over the year between the time that he retired and the time that the appointments office selected someone to fill the position. So we just worked really diligently to implement new procedures in the court to clear the backlog, but not at the expense of individualized justice. And I feel like my background as a litigator, I've litigated everything from probate, CPS litigation, trust litigation, complex civil litigation, felony, criminal defense work. Of course, I wasn't a prosecutor. All of that varied experience lends itself very well to the administration of justice in this court. And of course, justice delayed is justice denied. So I've tried to bring the diligence that I had, the work ethic, the love of the law, and diligence and preparation to the court. Honestly, I think people really underestimate, I know I did, the number of hours a week to adequately study the law, study the files to do the job properly, because it's not just what happens in the courtroom. There's a whole area of practice that occurs inside the chambers because it's civil litigation that many things are ruled on based on 21 volume files that you need to read everything, understand everything. It is enormous. But I've really enjoyed it because it is, that's the thing about being, when you're in litigation, which I did for such a long time, you're over in the courtroom so much. And you don't have the time that you want to be able to, if you love the law, to read it, to study it, and really have an appreciation for how it's developing in different areas. So I've taken this opportunity to really bring the skills that I have to bear for our community, and I'm hopeful that people are pleased with the job that I'm doing. And I want to continue that. I'm enjoying the job, and so that I've signed up to run to continue to be the judge of the 75th.
Can you tell people a little bit about where you're from? Because you're from Liberty County.
I am. I'm actually from Hull. I grew up in Holdayzetta. I graduated from Holdayzetta High School. I kind of have two homes because I was a child of divorce. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up, which is funny because Cleveland is kind of in the middle. I grew up in Livingston is where I spent time with my father, mm-hmm. and Holdayzetta with my mom. And so this entire county, which is a big county, has kind of been my community for most of my life.
And now you live in Liberty.
I do.
With your husband, Jared.
I do. He is a native of Hardin County. He's a Hardin-Jefferson alum, but he has been in our community. He taught at Holdayzetta. He's a mathematics teacher, which I know you know because he taught your children. Yes, he
taught my children.
And we've had the opportunity to know and serve families, mm-hmm. both through him and through this law office, mm-hmm. for almost a quarter of a century now. In fact, he's longer than me, 30 years. I worked over at Houston for my first professional mm-hmm. life when I was an accountant. I was in Houston. I drove back mm-hmm. and forth. Our kids have always been raised here. But, yeah, we've had the opportunity to just know and love the people of our community, and I really feel that...
And he's beloved.
He is. Mm-hmm. He is.
The kids love him.
The grumpy old math teacher.
He's not, and he listens. They get a different perspective of him, though, because they don't see him as a grumpy math teacher.
I know, because he comes home and he's grumpy.
Yeah, no, they don't see him that way.
No.
He engages them, and I think that helps them learn.
Well, I think he and I think that that's why we've had a marriage that, despite, the trials of being married and the challenges that you go through, I think our fundamental love of people and desire and joy in seeing people accomplish the best that they're able to, I think that's a common thing that he and I have. I come from an aspect of, I'm good at dispute resolution and figuring out, okay, here are the elements, here is the problem, here's the framework that we're working in. Now, how can we come up with a solution that best suits everybody and tries to facilitate goodness and accomplishes good things? And he gets no bigger thrill than to take a student who maybe in years past have been told, oh, you can't accomplish this, oh, you've never passed a STAR test, and to watch them not only achieve a pass rate, no, those goals are not high enough. He loves to set the goal just as high as he believes possible, and then to help those students achieve. And then when you see those students and parents in the public 10, 15, 20 years later, and they are managing projects and doing these great things, when they had an
He's there when they graduate too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He walks with them.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. And and I think that's the kind of attitude that you have to bring to the courtroom.
Yeah.
These are people, you see people, and you have the opportunity when you're a judge. Yes, it's a very powerful position, but that really shouldn't be the temperament of the person that is administering justice. It should be a person who really wants to hear the story and to make the parties know that they're going to be heard, and not to be belittled, but to have graciousness and courtesy extended by a court who, we have to be able to understand really complicated language and dynamics to understand the law. But to be a great judge, you have to be able to take that and convert it into a way that you can communicate with the
people that have not gone to law school. Yeah.
And not make them feel less than. I mean, that's your responsibility as the court, to know the law, to understand the law.
They may know something you don't know.
And then to communicate to them what you're doing and why, and the constraints that you're under, and stand, so that no matter whether they prevail or they don't, that they know that they were listened to, that they were treated fairly, and that the system was properly administered in a way that they can have confidence in. And that is what we should expect from every judge that's on the bench, because if you don't have confidence that you have a neutral forum without fear or favor, where the law will be administered to each party, irrespective of their station in life, their ability, or whatever, if you don't have that forum to resolve disputes, we know what happens. And in our society today, that is something that is desperately needed in every community. Yeah. And ours especially, we've got big challenges. We're growing.
Oh, yes.
And
eventually we might have 2 dedicated courts for Liberty County.
Well,
right now we're sharing 253rd.
Yes, my expectation is that will come, because we are one of the fastest growing counties in the entire nation.
Maybe after the next census.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about numbers, I mean...
Yeah, you're welcome to talk about numbers.
I just pulled some things up. One of the things that I don't know, the public, fundamentally, they probably don't care a lot about this, but I think some people will, so it's informative. The Office of Court Administration is the governing body that oversees the courts to ensure that things are running the way that they're supposed to. And due to some problems that have happened throughout the state since COVID,
everybody got behind.
Well, people got behind and people were not showing up to work. And so now, beginning in January, every court, every judge will have to report their time on the bench, in their office, the number of cases that they preside over, the number of cases that they close. Yes.
That's a lot of oversight. Is it good or bad?
Legislature has mandated. Well, the hope would be that every individual who has taken the awesome responsibility of serving as the judge of a court would be self-disciplined enough to take that responsibility seriously and realize that litigants that are waiting 2, 3, 4 years on resolution of their case is unacceptable.
Right.
And I think most judges do know that. But
child sex assault cases should not take 5 years Divorces shouldn't take 5 years.
Well, the goal, let me tell you, the new goals that they've set are, and some of these are old goals, but these are, I think, being enforced or at least reported. I think the OCA is trying to make a reporting mechanism so that ultimately we select our judges in Texas, but the public can't take that into consideration if there is no objective metric or way for them to find out. And I think what
So people will be able to view
doing,
these records?
absolutely. You can go to
good.
OCA's website and see how your courts are operating. You know, you can have this ethereal notion that things are running slowly, but when you go and see, like for instance, in our courts, this most recent OCA report.
Is this for the 75th?
For both, for the, and of course, Judge Kane has to cover more cases because he has two counties. But for the 75th, the rate over the last reporting period was 149%, which means
clearing more,
almost by 50% than were filed in the court. And I think that Judge Kane had a similar percentage of closure, but I think his raw numbers were bigger. And so we're clearing out cases, and that's the attempt.
That also is good though for the county's financial budgets because they're not housing inmates.
Correct.
They're going off to the prison system. They're not having to put them in jails in other counties.
That's correct.
Pay millions of dollars because we're spending millions of dollars.
That's correct.
Housing inmates outside the county.
We have, I think it's another aspect of being the actual judge as opposed to thinking you know how it runs. But yes, it is critical. I think people do not know when you're the judge and you're over these felony cases. You have to be impartial, right?
Right.
Presumption of innocence. So what you know as the court is simply the same thing that you know, the indictment, the charging instrument. That's what I know. We are wholly reliant upon our district attorney and her first assistants and her assistant district attorneys in, the vast majority of these cases are pleas. And they
have to be. And that's the one thing people don't understand is that a lot of them have to be because you would never have enough court time to hear all this.
Correct.
You can only have so much time on your calendar.
Well, and here's an example. So typically, we all know there are about 4 weeks in every month, right? Well, you need a week for civil trials. A week for jury trials, because if it is a serious case, and those are the cases that you really expect that your time will be spent on juries. Anyone can ask for a jury trial, but the expectation is a very, very serious case like that is likely to need a jury, and a jury will take days, right, to resolve one case. Well, there are only 52 weeks in a year, and we can't do jury trials every single week. So
and those are generally murders and sexual assault cases, big ones.
Aggravated assault, not always, but yes, that's the expectation, but you have to have room for these little ones too. So what we're doing, process that I've implemented in the first 3 months that I've been here is we have the civil jury weeks, but I also have the criminals ready to try to do a criminal case because many times civils will settle at the 11th hour. So we're trying to use those civil weeks as backups to try to resolve old criminal cases or have the opportunity for defendants to have their day in court at least twice a month. And then on those trial weeks, if it is a case where the parties believe that they can get it done in 2 or 3 days, then we might pick 2 juries on a Monday and then try 2 cases with that veneer panel to try to clear some of this backlog. And just in doing that over the last 90 days, we have resolved double-digit numbers of cases that were older than 700 days.
Oh my gosh.
So we have cleared a pretty significant backlog. But again, I'm relying upon the district attorney because they're using their discretion. And we as a judge, I can ask, why are we pleading? But it's really not particularly great policy you've got to have confidence in the elected official that the people in your community have elected, and you've got to work with them. And we're working pretty diligently together to try to get things going. But obviously, the final oversight is mine, and I'm
sometimes the plea agreement is the right
policies.
approach.
We have. You don't know what the proof problems are. I think the public, we all like to think, oh, well, of course it's going to be a guilty verdict from a jury on this terrible case.
It could be a risky taking it to trial.
I've watched both as an attorney and just as an observer. And I've seen cases that you would have really
Thought were slam dunks.
were slam dunk cases, and there'll be acquittals, and that may be process working, but it's up to the DA's office to look at their case and know what their evidence is, and for the defense lawyer and his client or her client to look at their case and
assess the risk.
And assess and decide what is justice. And we're relying upon lots of people working together, and that's something that I'm very proud of. I feel that the 253rd, the 75th, Judge Hinch, Judge Chambers, we're trying to help one another carry this expansive caseload that's happening, and get people in front of the court to have their matters attended to very efficiently.
Everybody's pulling their cart in the same direction?
Yes, and I think that I am very, very confident that we're going to be able to not only continue to do that, but to improve that, because that's a big complaint that from my side before taking the bench was, why is it taking so long to get a hearing? Why? And it's because we just have more people moving in, which means, I mean, that was one of the numbers I was going to give you before, is just in the past year, we've had a 12% increase, a 15.3% increase in the civil caseload and a 14.1% increase in the felony caseload. And that is just in the 75th. I did not pull
the other courts.
Similar numbers. No. And what we're doing with the civil cases, I know that initially, Judge Hinch handles a lot of the family law cases, but to try to level out some of this with Judge Kane having to be here and down south.
Because he only has so much time in the week,
Correct. And so what I implemented a policy where when a new case is filed, if they're asking for a temporary orders hearing, what do? Well, we call Judge Hinch first, because he has been handling the family law stuff. We see whether he can get the parties in within 30 days for a temporary orders hearing. If he cannot, then we look at our schedule and we try to get it on our schedule within 30 days so that people are getting their day in court as quickly as practical. And quite frankly, I'm sure that Judge Chambers would be willing to assist, except for he's already handling probate, misdemeanors, juveniles. I mean, his caseload is already... But we are all, I want the community to be confident that we really are looking at these numbers, and everyone is doing their best to try to make sure that our community's matters are handled promptly.
Can you explain the difference between the district courts and the county court of law and the other courts to people that may not understand the different roles and functions?
Well, the way that our system is set up, your court can either be created by the Constitution of Texas or it can be created by statute. And the district courts, here are the most serious cases. We have jurisdiction over felonies and civil matters up to any dollar limit. We also do all trust litigations, that has to be handled in the district court. The county courts at law, they have statutory jurisdiction that is pretty similar to the district court. They don't have original felony jurisdiction, and they have some caps on the amount of monetary damages. But what we also do in our county is we have our presiding judge over our region, which is Judge Trapp. And what we do is we do assignments to all 4 benches, so that if I need Judge Hinch to come up and handle something in my court, he's assigned and he's qualified, and he can come and sit as the district judge so that those jurisdictional limitations are not impairing our ability to work together to handle the people's business. But typically county courts at law it's the misdemeanor jurisdiction with caps, and then of course
family law stuff.
The district courts are original jurisdiction on family law. All those cases get transferred, and that's just the way that we've historically done it.
You just don't have enough hours in the day.
It's 60 hours a week is probably not an unreasonable projection of to do it. If you want to be at your absolute best, at least for me right now, that's about the mark of
that's like being a newspaper owner.
Precisely, it's
60 to 80 hours.
And the tracking of things is not altogether difficult for me, because that's what I've been doing. I mean, when you're in private practice, that's what you do.
Well, what do you believe are the most important qualities for a district judge? She had to put her glasses back on for this one.
Patience.
Okay.
Graciousness. Temperance. Diligence. And just a passion for the inherent fairness that is built into our system of justice. If you don't believe in the system and believe fundamentally in your obligation to do everything with the talents and skills that you have, that God has given you, to bring that to bear for your community, to try to facilitate that. I mean, everyone says you want a judge who's not biased. You want a judge who knows the law. You want a judge who is decisive and who does have wisdom and who is not going to even portray themselves in a manner or conduct themselves in a manner publicly or privately that would make me as a citizen have to question their impartiality. You want to have a judge who takes that responsibility seriously and who is concerned with the efficiency, but not at the expense of individual justice. I mean, the people who come before courts are bringing their most serious matters to you, in front of you, and they are depending on you for the most important thing in their life, for that dispute to be resolved in a way that they can feel was fair and done according to the law. And being able to provide that, I think, without getting, it's a powerful position. And if the power is the end unto itself, that's not the proper temperament. But if you can know that you have that authority and use it with temperance and dignity and graciousness and mercy when it's called for, to ensure the public safety and the public confidence in our community and our system, I think it takes a lot. But I think those are the things that I strive to do. And I think for me personally, I start every day prayerfully. To be given wisdom and to know the words to say and have the heart to do what sometimes may not be popular, but whatever is just. And I think that's the overriding thing, because it's not ultimately about you as the judge. It's about the people that you're serving. And if you don't have a heart for service, then I think you probably lack the number one attribute that's needed to be an effective judge.
How do you limit resetting court dates for whenever it's I've gone to other counties and I've seen trials get reset, and then it gets reset again. How do you limit that as a judge to keep them from just
Okay, so tell me which kind of case, because I have a different approach depending on whether it's a civil case or a criminal case.
It was a criminal case.
Okay, so here's what I will
explain. And it was
explain.
in San Jacinto County.
I'll explain to you the policies that I've implemented now. I want you to understand that oversight from OCA is part of an effort to address exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's for judges to try to wrangle this docket.
But then you have to limit the attorneys and say, no, you should have been prepared.
Well, this is what you do have to do. And so the way that I'm addressing that in my court, we've implemented some new things. So what I do is, obviously I have these cases that are old, but I'm super proud of the fact that even yesterday we cleared cases off the docket that were up to 999 days old. We cleared several of those over the past week, but how we've done it is I take the docket, and I don't look at who the lawyer is or who the party is or what the charge is. I look at how old is the case. Highlight. I have a color for if you are over
a certain time.
Anything that is over 365 days is already pink, because they don't make a red highlighter. Pink. Anything that we're trying to put on the trial docket. I'm putting those, and if it is something that really needs a trial, here's you feel like you've got poles and plates spinning in every direction, but what you do is you say, okay, let's have a conference, lawyers. When can you have? I know it's going to take 30 witnesses and all these subpoenas, and you've got to get your experts, and you've got to have everybody coordinated. Listen, I have been so pleased. I've been so pleased with our community.
Yeah.
We have had, since I've been on the bench, the best response to our jury summons percentage-wise in 15 years. I don't know what has motivated people to show up, but they are showing up.
I'm glad they are.
Every time that September they showed up, October they showed up, November. I just impaneled a grand jury. We had a wonderful turnout. People are engaged. They're understanding that they have to be engaged. And I know people are
and they have to show up.
So busy with their own lives, but it's a necessary part.
Yeah.
But just back to the point. So anything that's really old is going on the trial docket, and I'm trying to set realistic trial dates with the attorneys and saying you preferentially set this is when we're going to trial. Then I'm putting backup cases that are of not as serious on some of the backup dockets. Okay, so that's one thing. But on the front end, the new cases that are coming in, if by 180 days, if they have not resolved the case without any court intervention, I'm having what's called a settlement conference. If your case is over 180 days old, you and your client have a set court date to come sit down with the prosecutor, look at the videos, any evidence that's outstanding, whatever we need to know on both sides of the fence to be ready to either know that we can resolve this case by an agreement or that we are going to need a jury trial. And I'm setting those conferences up at 180 days with an eye towards trying to get things done.
There's bound to be a bunch of them.
There are.
Yeah.
There are. But in all seriousness, I mean, we've resolved more than 300 cases already.
That's a lot.
I did pull the numbers when I took the bench pending in this. Now, did I really? Yes, here we go. So as of October 1st, which I took the bench September 22nd, and I did resolve some cases, but I pulled the cases. So as of October 1st, that's when I went ahead and pulled my numbers. I had 894 civil cases pending as of October 1st, and I had 715 cases pending as of October 1st that were felonies. Since that time, we've added 189 felonies that have been filed, and we've added 82 new filings. And as we sit here, I have disposed of, I think we have, no, that's the wrong number. I guess I didn't write it down. I believe it was right at 800 civil cases still pending, and I think it was 601 is the number I've written down here, but I can't be sure. But essentially, we've over 300 cases we've been able to resolve, and many of them were very old. So we're making great strides, and everybody's working together to try to get. I mean, you can't push them at the expense of justice. If we are outstanding,
if there's a reason
scientific evidence, or we've got problems, we're needing an expert or an evaluation. The other thing we have to deal with, honestly, we have so many people with mental health concerns where we've got people waiting in jail for beds because they've been evaluated and they have such serious mental problems that they have to be hospitalized and treated before they can recover
more of those
competency.
Facilities in Texas.
It's unfortunate. I mean, that is something that
we do not have enough of those.
You know, it's not the type of mental health concern like just general. It's serious mental health concerns where they don't know where they are and cannot assist their attorneys, and those are, it's more than a handful, and they're waiting months and months and months, sometimes longer.
It's very sad, though. It's very sad.
Well, it is sad, and I mean, we're in the situation where they have to be somewhere, and a hospital would be good, and so but you have to wait until there's a facility available.
Yeah. And
clearly they are potentially a danger to themselves or others, so they're in our jail. And then we've already got population problems with, I mean, it's just lots of moving parts and lots of challenges to address, but I'm confident that we're going to continue to move forward and address them.
So if elected, what would your first term look like?
It will look precisely how things are looking now. If people want to know what it would look like, I encourage them to come on down. We have Friday, I've got a smorgasbord. I've got
this will come out the week after this.
Oh, well, I encourage you to come if you'd like. We've got the Quintana case is on my docket on Friday to address the bond situation for that woman, and I've got
that involves the drowning situation of the children.
Correct, and then I've got
very emotional cases. I'm sure.
Sure, and I've got a TRO on a family law matter, and I have a final divorce, and I have and that's what I enjoy about the broad general jurisdiction of our district court is the fact that it is different things. And
well, see, you do like variety. Earlier you said you like routine, but I think that variety might be your thing too.
I like both.
Okay.
I don't like surprises.
No, not surprises.
When you say routine, I surprises are not my favorite.
So what do you believe sets you apart from other candidates in the race? You're the only female.
I'm the only female. I believe that I'm the only, I'm the only one who started their career alone, and being a judge is alone. There's no committee, there's no partner, there's no body, and so I started my career as an attorney all by myself from day one.
How long were you in private practice?
23 years.
Okay.
I also believe that and it's quite funny because you've already pointed out I am a woman, but I believe that I have, I don't get upset or angry very often.
I don't either. It's not my thing.
I really don't.
It takes a lot to make me mad.
I don't typically do knee-jerk responses.
Yeah.
I'm able to show civility to people who are not.
Yeah.
To show respect to people who are not.
Yeah.
And to ratchet things down instead of ratcheting them up. And I think those are some of those skills that I bring to bear. I enjoy reading and studying the law. I did exceptionally well in law school because I do love reading and understanding the law and having that great passion for the actual study of the law. And I think that's a little different. I'm not sure. Maybe some of them do that. I don't know them all that well. But I think what ultimately sets me apart is my passion for the law and my heart for people. I'm not a joiner. But I do love people, which is kind of a strange combination. I care about people, and I like being able to help people on a more personal basis, a more individualized basis, and I think that lends itself to, I'm not in every club, or I'm not a social person, and when you are a judge, I mean, that's really not preferred, because if you have a huge group of friends and you're out and about all the time, then when you live in a small community like ours, it causes people to wonder, well, is that her friend? Or and I don't.
I keep my circle pretty small.
We're just very family oriented.
We are
we
too.
have a big family, so
I got kids and grandkids.
And it's not that
else.
I don't join at all. I do.
No,
But that's not.
Yeah.
And so that's a little different.
I think I am an extroverted introvert. I can be extroverted for little periods of time, and it's like, no, I'm going home now. I don't want to talk to anyone.
We laughed. I went to the what they used to call baby judges school, right?
Yeah.
It's not they're trying to get away from that, but I don't mind it. But it's for all new judges, and I went to that recently, and I found it interesting because, of course, everyone during this cycle was appointed either by their district judge as an associate judge, or by the governor, because we're in an off cycle. And so where lots of people, you're going to love baby judges school. We ate together. And no, it's a bunch of introverts. We all went to our room after we got through. So we visited during session, but it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just quiet, like quiet time. You just like your quiet time.
So before we wrap up, is there anything you would like voters to know about you and about the role of this position? Oh, she's bringing out a tablet. She's got.
I wrote down, Vanessa, trying to think about what my goals are, right?
Yeah.
When you get ready, when you're a litigator, when you're trying to prepare for a trial, and you're thinking about, how are you going to approach this case, and how are you going to strategize and do the job effectively. Mm-hmm. You start with closing statements, right? You start with how.
So you've got a statement prepared.
How do I want to wrap this up? And so when thinking about not just this election, but I am, no matter what, the first female judge in the courthouse in Liberty County. The first female attorney judge in Liberty County history. Here we are, 2025 in the new millennium. And that's a great responsibility, but ultimately, is that what I want to be remembered for? No. But how, when my career wraps up, whether that is tomorrow or 20 years from now, how do I want to be remembered? What legacy do I want to leave? And so what are my goals with how I'm doing this job, that when I'm dead and gone, what do I want people to say about the job that I did?
Okay.
And I want people to be able to say that Judge Merendino provided us a court and a process for resolution of our important legal disputes, where each of us had high confidence that no matter the result, that the search for truth was the ultimate goal of her court in each and every individual matter, and that she conducted every proceeding with courtesy to the lawyers, to the witnesses, to the litigants, to the participants, that she had the courage to make the hard decisions, even if they weren't popular, so long as they were right, that she was always competent, prepared, fair, dignified, patient, kind, open-minded, was swift and deliberate in administering justice, was gracious but decisive, and made every ruling in her court in accordance with the laws and the evidence and the best judgment that she was able to bring to bear for our community. That's how I want to be remembered, and I want the community to know that every day, that's how I start my day, knowing that that's the goal that I have in mind. And will I fail? Will I ever be intemperate? Will I ever not do exactly what I want to do? Absolutely.
You're human.
A human being, and I will be imperfect. But I want them to know that those are the things that I have at the forefront of my mind when I'm
need to put it on a wall
deciding
somewhere, huh?
their important matter.
Yeah.
That their matter matters to me, and that how I make them feel about this process is equally as important as delivering the result to them. And I just hope that people will come and see the job that I'm doing and can feel excited about the justice that's being delivered in the 75th Court.
So we wrap up these headlines and heartlines with fun questions, just to lighten the mood. So I'm going to ask you questions, and I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind. You ready?
I don't know if I'm ready for this, Vanessa. Hold on, let me get a drink of water.
The first thing that comes to mind: pen and paper, or everything digital?
All the above.
All of the above. She's got papers printed out, and she also has things handwritten. Routine or variety?
Both.
Yeah. What makes you laugh when you really need it?
My kitty cats. Used to be my kitty cats and my puppy dog, but I lost my Lucy about 12 weeks ago.
Oh,
so
no.
They're always so silly.
Yeah.
And they...
Prepared or flexible?
Both.
What helps you reset after a long day?
Quiet time.
What value guides your decisions?
My faith.
Silence or background noise when you're thinking?
Silence.
What's one habit you've had to unlearn over the years?
There's probably more than one.
Just pick one. You get one.
That your first impression isn't always the right one.
Oh, that is a good one. I would have said procrastination or something like that, but that's a good one. Don't judge people by the first encounter you have with them.
No, and I think I learned that. I'm just going to follow up on this. I mean, it becomes difficult when you do criminal defense work. Or when you work in the system at all, even as a prosecutor, it is so easy, or family law, to feel like, oh, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and to jump to a conclusion.
Yeah.
But you can never allow yourself to do that, because if you do, especially as the judge, but even as the attorney, you'll overlook digging deeply enough to find the truth. And ultimately, that's what a trial is about, is the search for truth. And you can never let it become rote. It always has to be fresh every time. So don't let that first impression dictate your open-mindedness. You have to be willing to consider everything.
Well, Michelle, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today and sharing your perspective. I appreciate you explaining the role of the 75th District State Court. That's a mouthful. And what you will bring to the bench if you are elected. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Headlines and Heartlines. As always, thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back next week with another conversation focused on the people and the issues that matter to our community.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.